Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined today by my two
pissed off.
Hold on, we're just going to start that over. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And behind the computer, just charming his own cobra, it is Bruce, the Tugboat Venditti.
Fuck.
He ain't about shit. He wears a medium shirt. Pussy.
Wow.
So,
Anyway.
I'm healthy.
before we get
healthy.
healthy.
I can't
We're gonna
poop.
make-
I can't come. I
Well,
can't
I'm not going to
poop.
look like
I'm
you when I'm
constipated.
50, so
Yeah. You wish you looked like this when you were 50.
like a bowling ball and a wingspan of a sparrow.
Yeah.
We need to make a t-shirt with Bruce's face on it just as I'm healthy.
Yeah.
Just the I'm healthy.
That's all right. When you see the hairline, everybody will
We're
know
about
different.
living long lives.
Anyways, before we get into the Week 3 action, we have a very, very sad announcement to make. The NFL has done away with the Pro Bowl.
R.I.P.
We will no longer have the chance to make the Pro Bowl great again. If you need a Make the Pro Bowl Great Again hat, they're now for sale for $1,000 because it's obviously the end of an era.
End of an era.
The NFL just keeps getting softer and softer year after year.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about that because I know he has some thoughts on that with the huge amounts of injuries and the huge amount of penalties that have been called this year. Yes, Uncle Sam has now completely confirmed the fact that he is irate with the pussification of the NFL.
I hate it.
But the NFL is doing away with the Pro Bowl and going to NFL Pro Bowl Skills Weekend, where there will be
The skills quarterback challenge.
There will be a host of skills challenges put on by Peyton Manning's own Omaha Productions, as well as a flag football game. So
I'm all for it.
you think that made the Pro Bowl great again?
I'm a big Peyton Manning guy. I like Peyton Manning. I think he's funny, him and his brother. I think they're funny. Why are you laughing? I like him.
R.I.P. Shout out to the Pro Bowl.
R.I.P.
Dog water.
Anyways, now getting right into Week 3. We have to start out with our own hometown Detroit Lions in the most grand of fashions. The majestic one, Dan Campbell, completely shit the bed with his play calling at the end of the game. Came out this morning.
Well, it wasn't
second
him
half.
calling the plays. It's Ben Johnson.
He said
calling
he
the
made
plays.
the decision to kick the field goal, and it was one that he regretted. What do you make of this?
He has to learn, just as the players have to learn. He needs to work on that shit, dude. That's.
I mean,
I don't
listen,
even want to talk about it because the
You
game
gotta talk about it.
started out fucking great.
You're the Lions slappy here.
It
And
started out great, and then they shit the bed the second half.
I will say, I picked the Vikings in this game, so
They
you
should have
picked
won
the
that
Lions,
game.
So let's hear it.
They should have won the game. There's nothing I can't say. If you watch the game, it was a shit show in the second half. They didn't do shit. They couldn't convert a third down for
All right,
God knows
well,
why.
Let's
they were 3 of 16 from third down. 3 of 16.
I don't
these
even
5 and
know.
outs on 3 and 1 are ridiculous. Why not? Jamal had a successful day running the ball. Why don't you just run him up the fucking
They did
middle?
get away from the run game rather.
This is what's killed them the last 2 games that they've played. They get up big, they take their foot off the gas. As soon as that happens, they're in trouble.
So
They get away from what they're. It almost reminds me. Ben Johnson right now reminds me of Kyle Shanahan. They start out, they're dominant, and then they get away from what they were originally doing.
okay.
Same old Lions.
That's the thing. So
No.
is this going to be the
trend?
Lions curse this year? Is this what's inevitably going to take a team that could compete for a playoff spot and make them a 5 or 6 win team because they're not
Because they
calling
could
proper
be a
plays?
3-0 team right now.
Is Dan Campbell's inability to be a head coach and not just a motivating force going to cost this team?
It has already.
I'm aware, but do you think this is you think this is going to be an isolated
you know what?
incident, or are we going to keep
I
talking
hope
about
he-
it?
Yes, that's the
Listen,
thing.
he's-
Right now, I think it's like it's a hope thing, right? They played well. Dan Campbell fucked up at the end, but there was other things too. It wasn't just Dan Campbell. They still have hope, but right now, as it's looking at it, Dan Campbell needs to start coaching and stop being the motivator. And
Well, I don't know.
Listen to me. There's nothing wrong with him being a motivator.
no, there's nothing wrong with it.
but
He has the team.
problem-
It's time to be a coach now.
The problem is this: he doesn't know how to manage a fucking clock. It's been like that since he's been here.
I will say that.
All of last year.
True.
All of fucking last year. Okay?
It's true.
If you're the guy who's grit and you're going to go for it, this and that, do it. Do it.
Jared Goff
Don't-
did say their whole game plan is to go for it.
I get, you know what? I don't have a fucking problem
I don't
with
have an
that.
issue.
I don't have an issue because they usually
Here's the thing. They
are
were
successful
fucking
with it.
6 of 8 from fourth down. They converted 6 of 8
I
fourth
thought
down.
that was third down.
No.
Fourth
third
down.
down. Third down was atrocious. It was what?
They were
3
3 of 16.
Oh, 3 of
Third
16.
down.
And on fourth
Okay.
That's
down-
why they fucking lost. Because of that. Because they can't convert a fucking third
Well,
down.
that comes down to the play calling on third down.
Well,
I mean,
that's Ben Johnson.
essentially, yeah.
I would say that's the offensive coordinator.
Well, DeAndre Swift takes a tumble, and then all of a sudden we're passing the ball.
Well,
They
it,
get away
it
from
ain't
the
about
run
him
game.
taking
Well-
a tumble. He was banged up. They wanted to put him on a pitch count. I get it. Totally get it.
Yeah,
You got two
yeah.
capable backups.
But that's the thing.
there.
Jamal Williams, very, very nice day. 20 rushes for 87 yards, averaged 4.4
He
per carry.
he
and
carried
2
the ball
touchdowns.
at least 10,
And
11 more times.
Reynolds seeing the field for the first time.
Reynolds was not as effective,
no.
averaging 2.2 yards
No.
per carry. But
on a 3rd and 2 when Jamal should be in the game, you don't have Reynolds back there.
All right.
I get it. I get it. There was coaching errors made. They got away from the run too early, but
This is
Listen,
the problem.
do this
with-
in another game. This is a division rival. Why are we fucking up so much during a divisional game?
I think this is deeper than that. Here's the thing. 28 they allowed Minnesota to score 28 points this week. Okay? Their defense. Nobody is afraid of their defense right now. Their defense is allowing essentially
What I
points at
didn't
will.
like was as soon as they give up this field goal, they go into a fucking prevent and stop coming after him. When they were going after Kirk Cousins, they were getting to him. They were making him uneasy. His throws were not crisp. As soon as they backed off of that, they were done. They couldn't get any pressure there in the fourth quarter.
I'm
None.
not even going to blame the defense on this game.
Well,
you know why?
I mean,
Because
the defense is the one letting up the point.
The defense had to stop them when they needed to, and they did.
For the most part.
But the offense came out 3 and out, 3 and out.
That's what happens
3 and
when
out.
you're-
You were there for 20 seconds, dude.
Yeah.
What are we
Okay.
doing?
Goff had a pretty decent day. 25 completions on 41 attempts, 277 yards, a tud, and an interception. Obviously not his greatest game, but it seemed like
They,
Jared
they
Goff.
keep leaving points on the field. That's going to come back and haunt them.
Well, I mean, Josh Reynolds, 6 receptions on 10 targets, 96 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I think went out with an injury at some point in the game.
he came back in, though.
Came
He
back
in
six-
and was playing.
6 for 73. DJ Chark, 3 for 46. They're spreading the ball around nicely. Obviously, their run game production. Swift only had 7 carries but got 30 yards. Jamal Williams had close to a career day. I mean, here's the thing. The kicking game killed him. Like,
Yeah,
let's
they got a
be real.
kicker that can't kick
In a
40-plus
stadium.
yard field goal.
Seibert can't kick a 40-plus yard field goal.
Yeah.
That's it. In
So
a
why-
nutshell.
Neither can their kicker. So
No, you know what? Then why are you trying to kick a 56-yard field
No,
goal
I get that.
with a
I get
guy
that.
who can't hit a 40-yard field goal?
I get
that. Makes no fucking sense. I don't care. They called the timeout. They talked about it. I don't know who was advising him. I don't know who he was talking to, whether it's Ben Johnson or Brent fucking Franklin. I don't know who the light bulb went off. I mean, how the fuck can you go for a 56-yard field goal when your fucking kicker already missed a 43-yard field goal? That makes no fucking sense to me.
Makes no fucking sense.
It's real fucking simple. If you're the guy who's going for it, go for it. Go for it. I don't want to fucking what I seen out of him talking about I regretted this decision as soon as I did it. Well, you know what? You fucked up. You cost them the game.
He did.
He cost them
He
the fucking
cost them the
game.
game.
Because then it was 2 shitty, garbage-ass defensive fucking plays. Garbage. How you got a fucking guy that's a third receiver wide open with nobody within 10 to 15 yards of him that fucking burns you for a touchdown.
Okay, I'll say this. If you're looking at a silver lining from the Lions, the highlight of that game was Jeff Okudah. Finally paying off.
I've been saying this.
He was pretty much manned up on Justin Jefferson the whole game and only allowed 3 catches for 14 yards. That is a beautiful silver lining. On the other hand...
Now, let me keep going here about some things. There were some really ticky-tack fucking fouls in this game. I am so tired of this garbage officiating in the NFL. It's absolute fucking trash. I've seen it in the Lions game. I've seen it in the Jets game. I've seen it in 4 or 5 games just yesterday alone. These garbage ass fucking roughing calls are absolutely atrocious. It is getting to the point where their teams are losing fucking games because of these garbage calls that continue fucking drives that shouldn't even be allowed. It's a joke. I watched it happen to the Jets. They were playing Cincinnati. Joe Burrow got pushed down. They called a roughing the passer on it. It was a fucking joke. The guy barely touched him. And they called a roughing the passer.
I've noticed a trend the last 3 years. They keep adding these new rules, right? And the refs are getting way more strict than they ever have been on the flag, right? But yet, the league is still flooded with injury.
The league is flooded with injury.
So
you want to know why that is?
How are these rules doing any good?
Let me explain to you the reason for the injuries. Training camps aren't what they used to be. Training camps are totally different now. It's all about speed, running through your routes, this, that. It's all quarter speed bullshit. None of these camps have actual one-on-one, let's go at it, and let's fight each other. That shit does not exist. It hasn't existed for 10 years in this league. Everything's a fucking track meet now. It's a joke. It's quarter speed. They go with pads. Why are none of these guys wearing knee pads? Nobody in the NFL wears knee pads anymore. And then you see these rash of leg injuries that are going on left and right in the NFL.
I don't think knee pads really affect it.
You're out of your fucking mind, dude. You're out of your mind, dude. I'm watching guys come on.
They don't wear
field.
cups. You see dick injuries.
Are you serious right now, dude? What part?
Yeah,
what
I
part
am
of this
serious
don't
because
you
I played
understand?
without knee pads. Everyone I knew played without knee pads.
Yeah, that's because.
Well, I mean, they won a football game,
Yeah,
so, you know,
yeah,
we
they
kind of
won.
got to
Yeah, they were given a football game. Absolutely.
Oh.
They did a great job.
Listen, Kirk Cousins, 21 completions on 41 attempts for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was only sacked once. And that leads me into my next point. Dalvin Cook, 17 rushes on 96 yards, averaged 5.6 per carry, had 1 touchdown.
Got hurt early in that game. He would have blew it up.
Mattinson came in, 28 yards on 7 attempts, averaged 4.0 yards per carry. Now, I will say this. 1, they were unable to get any sort of pressure on Kirk Cousins. Completely unable to.
Factual.
2,
In the first quarter, they were getting to him. They had a bunch of 3-and-outs because they were getting to him. They were getting pressure.
This team cannot stop the run. Can't do it.
Well, we already knew that.
You
We
saw
already
week
knew
1
that.
against Philly. Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders ran rampant.
208 yards
week.
rushing on him.
Last week, Gibson had his week. This week, if
Dalvin Cook didn't get hurt, he'd have 200 yards.
Yeah, he would have had a 150-yard rushing day. Easy. If he didn't get hurt in that game. That is a fucking issue. That is an issue. They need to do something.
It's all smoke and mirrors at this point.
Because realistically, I thought the secondary would be the Achilles heel of this team, and it's not. Their secondary is playing well. KJ Osborne yesterday had 5 receptions for 73 yards. 1 was a 28-yard reception, and he had a touchdown. Thielen, 6 receptions on 61 yards. None of these receivers, outside of A.J. Brown in week 1, is having just a field day on this Lions secondary. And they're doing a good job of locking down the number 1 guy. Justin Jefferson, they made him a complete non-factor in yesterday's game.
And he's arguably the best receiver in football.
He was a non-factor.
Playing Thielen was...
So realistically, I would have to say that was a typical SOL Lions fucking performance with a coaching staff error that ultimately cost them a game they should have won.
It makes me pissed off that these guys who are putting toward the effort they're putting out there, and they're putting effort out there. It's not like they are not giving up. But, man, the coaching staff is putting them in a bad position. When your offensive coordinator gets away from the run when that's what got you the big lead you had, and all of a sudden you guys can't convert a fucking third down? You can't convert a third down? This is the reason why they're losing.
The thing is, it's still early in the season. Now, that's not. I'm not saying it's an excuse.
Well, it could be. It could all be cleaned up.
Yes, it can be cleaned up. They just need to get their head out of their asses.
Dan Campbell needs to make smarter decisions.
Exactly.
This is it.
He's
Hold
not
on.
a fucking rookie guy. He's not a rookie anymore.
This is it for him right now. This is that has to be.
Let me tell you something right now. They don't win fucking 6 games this year. I would say get rid of them.
The yesterday has to be the one game this year that Dan Campbell can cost this team. That's it. You
That
don't
has
get
to be
any
the
more
only
chance.
one. But here's the problem.
You don't get any more chance.
Last year, and I'm not even talking. We already knew what last year was, but his decisions cost him fucking games last year. His stupid decisions, and you can't. It's a trend. I see it happening more and more. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. I like Dan Campbell, but he needs to learn how to be a fucking head coach. A head coach.
Well, let's hope they bounce back
And
next
make
week.
decisions. The right fucking decisions. Football decisions
Well, if
that
they're gonna-
any idiot on the fucking street could see.
If they are going to bounce back, it has to be next week.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
they
the
are
season-
playing Seattle at home next week, and that
Oh,
should be
God, Christ.
that should be the perfect
Heaven.
The scumbag will be in town.
You know what? I'm glad he is. I'm glad he
Are you
is.
going to go to the game?
I can't. I'm barred from Ford Field.
Anyways,
Pete Carroll's got a hit on me. I'm not allowed.
moving on to what I thought was the ugliest, well, tied for the ugliest game of the weekend. Sunday Night Football. The 49ers went
Well,
into...
let's finish up Sunday's day games now. You want to do that
We're
first?
going backwards. I told you this.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. Sunday Night Football.
We start with the Lions because we are from Detroit.
Well, here's the thing with Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
dude.
Well, the 49ers
It could
went into
be-
Mile High to play the Broncos and ultimately came up 1 point short after Jimmy Garoppolo pulled a Dan Orlovsky and ran out of the back of the end zone for a safety.
We've
Broncos
seen that
11
before.
to 10. Horrific.
A lot of
Ugly.
teams that
It
were
was a good
supposed
thing
to
he
win
ran out the
today.
back of the end zone because the ball was picked
Yes.
and for a touchdown.
If he wouldn't have,
Yes.
have,
Correct.
it was best case scenario. Yeah. This game was,
It was a hard-fought defensive game.
I mean,
It was a great defensive game.
can both of these offenses be that bad? With as many people as
Russell
they have.
Wilson is scaring the living shit out of me.
Russell
This
Wilson,
guy is a shell of himself.
he's just not good.
What
right
happened?
now. He's just
What
not
happened to
good.
him?
I mean, let's stop and talk about this. Through 3 games, Russell Wilson has 2 touchdowns.
It's not even that. The accuracy's not there. His timing's not there. It's just something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong.
Well,
Even Matt Ryan put it together yesterday. Something is wrong when Russell Wilson cannot put it together.
his completion percentage as it stands right now so far in the 2022 season is the lowest of his career by quite a bit. He's 59% right now.
He's never been that.
No.
He's always been up in the 70s.
Well, no, it's usually in the high 60s.
High 60s or
64, 68, 66, 65. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, dude's a Hall of Famer.
It's ugly watching Russell. And you know what? Maybe we're being too,
Critical.
yeah, maybe it's just,
Is there something else
Well,
going
no,
on?
changing
I
the
think we
growing
all
pains.
I think we all agreed that it was going to take time for these guys to gel. I think we all said that
I
already.
said it would take the Broncos a year. And I
Yeah.
truly felt that way. But guess what?
I thought they were going to
something
get
else.
together.
I didn't
don't
think
I
it
don't-
was going to be this ugly.
Yeah.
Like I figured it wasn't going to be, I didn't think the Broncos would be a playoff team this year.
No.
But I did not think it would be this ugly.
On
That
paper, I
offense is
thought they were gonna
completely
be.
incompetent. The offense is completely incompetent.
The defense held them in there yesterday.
and their defense
Their
will.
defense played their ass off.
Their defense looked good. And you know what? Josie Jewell, that was his first game back from injury yesterday. And he you could tell. He's an anchor at that linebacker position.
How about a shout out to the resurrection of Randy Gregory,
I know.
who was left for dead
I
on the
know.
side of the road.
Literally.
My man looked like Von Miller yesterday.
Yes, Randy Gregory had himself a nice little game. He had a sack, 3 tackles, tackle
Yeah.
for loss. Nice little game.
He was putting on a lot of pressure.
Russell Wilson, 20 completions on 33 attempts for 184 yards. No touchdowns, no picks, sacked 4 times.
That is not Russell Wilson numbers.
No. And
That is not Russell Wilson numbers.
they cannot establish the run.
Their
Devontae
offensive
Williams-
line is horrible.
Javonte Williams, 15 rushes for 58 yards. Melvin Gordon, 12 rushes for 26 yards and a touchdown, average 2 yards per carry. It's awful. It is truly awful.
Well,
And
when you don't have a threat to, and I'm going to be honest with you, and you know the 49ers, they didn't see any kind of pass threat coming their way.
no,
So all they did was line everybody up into the box.
Well,
The
Cortland
same thing with Denver. They did the same thing to Garoppolo.
Cortland Sutton, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 97 yards. That was the highlight of their passing offense right there. Melvin Gordon, 29 yards, 5 receptions. Hinton, 1 reception, 27 yards. Judy, 2 receptions, 17 yards. For some reason, Russell Wilson is just not finding these guys.
And Russell Wilson, listen to me. Russell Wilson, when he was in Seattle, Russell Wilson always used his tight ends.
Always.
Always. I don't see him throwing at a tight end.
Yeah. Okawubanam or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
2 targets, 1 reception, 12 yards. The other tight end, Saubert, 1 target, no receptions.
He's not using his tight ends. Russell Wilson looks off to me. He does not look like himself.
Well, I know you brought up that hand injury may have been a little bit more.
Is it something there? Is it something that he can't grip the ball anymore? Is he having nerve issues like Peyton Manning had? I mean, we don't know.
For me personally, I think it's something between the ears for Russell Wilson. I don't think he ever saw his time in Seattle ending in the fashion that it did.
Yes.
And it's just still...
I think he was a little, to me, looked like he was upset that they didn't try to fight for him more.
I just think he's got something going on between the ears right now. As far as the 49ers go, obviously...
you know what, though? I'll say this. Russell Wilson has an opportunity to play for a really good team.
For a long time.
For a long time. He gets, he goes to a different team that has a really good history.
Absolutely.
It's not like he's Jared Goff getting shipped off to the fucking one of the worst teams in the fucking league and you not having a say-so in it. Jared Goff is making the best of what he's got here. What the fuck is Russell Wilson doing?
Do you think this has to do with Hackett?
Maybe.
Maybe they whiffed on the coach and didn't actually whiff on the quarterback. Maybe they got a good guy.
I don't
just needs
think
to be coached up.
I don't see him stepping up like Russell Wilson would have done in Seattle.
No.
And telling his coach, hey, this is the way it should be done. He's not taking a leadership role. And that to me scares me.
Yeah. There's a lot of question marks about this Denver team. 49ers, obviously this was an 11-10 football game, so it's going to be ugly both ways. Garoppolo, 18 completions on 29 attempts, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, sacked 4 times. Jeff Wilson had himself a decent little game. 12 rushes and 75 yards, 6.3 per carry. Debo had 5 rushes for 6 yards, so obviously that didn't work, but he did have 5 receptions for 73 yards. Ayuk 3 for 39 and a touchdown, and that is about all that matters stat-wise from that game. So
That was a hard-fought defensive game.
it was all defense. It was truly all defense.
The defenses were standing on their heads, making plays when they had to.
I'll say this. Garoppolo made a lot of throws that really made me raise my eyebrow. When he missed badly.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think he's had enough reps with these guys this year because playing where he was all in the corner by himself during training camp did not fucking help him whatsoever.
No.
That's not his fault, though. I blame the coaching staff, and I blame the front office for all that shit with him.
They were talking on the broadcast how his brothers are his agents and managers and whatever, and they had all his shit packed up to leave. They had him ready to go.
Should have left.
They had him ready to go.
They're not going to release him. So
well, here's the thing: they gotta. It's really sad because this 49ers defense, I think, is one of the best in the league. They got a good core running backs. They should be able to run the ball pretty well. I know Trent Williams went down yesterday, but they have a good they're all good. Now you just gotta this coaching staff.
Listen, they jumped the gun on Trey Lance. offense.
Yes.
They jumped the gun on him. The kid was not ready, clearly not ready.
And you keep shooting yourself in the foot.
And
with
that's
this
Kyle
Garoppolo
Shanahan.
situation.
I blame Kyle Shanahan.
I
He's
do
the fucking
too.
coach. He's the one responsible for this. You can't blame anybody but him.
I do too.
You know, and at what point does Kyle Shanahan lose his fucking job? Should be this year if they
I'll
don't
be
fucking
honest
make
with
the
you.
playoffs.
Well, even if they make the playoffs, this 49ers team is not built to make the playoffs and get a first round exit. They're not built that way.
If they don't get some home games and they're playing if they're not playing at home, they're fucked.
They're fucked.
They can't go on the road and beat anybody.
No.
They don't have the offense to stay in with anybody.
No, they don't. But see, that's what blows my mind. Because they do have that kind of offense. They've got running backs.
Oh, they have the
They
players.
have George Kittle. You have
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk, who's looked probably the best offensive player for the 49ers on the
Yeah,
field
but their
last night.
offense isn't predicated with him dropping back, reading fucking defenses, and making the throws. That offense is not predicated on that. It's predicated on movement and using play action. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's not Kansas City's offense. It's not Tampa's offense. This guy can't get there, make a read, and change a play at the line of
Yeah,
scrimmage. That's not Shanahan's offense.
Well, he missed some pretty obvious reads last night. There was one time Deebo Samuel was open, wide open, about 20 yards down the field, and he was staring Ayuk down the whole time and just missed him. And it was a for sure 6 points.
Yeah, I
and,
see
and-
Pat Mahomes do a lot of that yesterday too.
Yeah.
Goff gets his
So,
fair share.
and Josh Allen.
We got a lot to talk about between Mahomes and Josh Allen. But first, we're going to travel down to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, where Tom Brady and my Buccaneers came up 2 points short against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And what everyone was saying was the game of the GOATs.
The game of the GOATs was a big joke.
Fucking joke.
It was a fucking joke.
Here's-
All I'm going to say is this. The Packers are lucky that they had to pull Cole Beasley off the fucking street just to fucking fill a receiver spot. They would have lost that game huge.
Are you ready?
Huge.
Are you ready to
if they had their fucking receivers?
So Mike Evans obviously suspended. Godwin hurt. Julio Jones hurt. This was the receiving core for the Buccaneers yesterday. Russell Gage, serviceable. Number 4.
He's a
serviceable.
fucking number 3 at best. Go
Cameron
ahead.
Brate.
Cameron Brate is a tight end. That's all I can say. Go ahead.
Rashad Perriman.
That fucker there, he's been around so many teams. I don't even think he's a 4th receiver on most teams.
Jalen Darden.
I don't even know who that is. Didn't he return punts or something like that? Is that what he does?
Kyle Rudolph got his
punt
first
returner?
reception yesterday. One
Well,
reception,
see, he
12
missed the
yards.
first 2 games because he's been out. But he's a little rusty, but he looked all right.
The ghost of Cole Beasley.
The ghost of Cole Beasley was actually pretty impressive to come in off the street and has never worked with Tom Brady. And he caught a few passes.
3
He was
receptions
effective.
for 12 yards.
He was
yeah.
effective.
And Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller is a junior version of Wes Welker.
1 reception, 4 yard out of Scotty Miller.
Yeah.
Somehow, and I can't figure this out, Brady's stat line, 31 completions,
It's Leonard Fournette.
271 yards, a touchdown, sacked 3 times.
Okay.
I don't know how they were realistically, and I'm not trying to make excuses here. Brady's quarterback rating was a 98.4. Ultimately, Brady.
I don't
cost them
see
the
how
game.
he got a 98.4.
I don't know either.
What he was throwing at. I don't see
271
it.
yards out of that.
I didn't even see 271 yards in that
That
game.
core of receivers, 271 yards. And there was no long passes. His longest pass today was 25 yards. So he was effective. Tom Brady was effective. Obviously, if you watch the game, they score a touchdown with a minute and a half left. They go to line up for 2 and delay of game. Costs them essentially the game because Leonard Fournette had a hole the size of the Grand Canyon to run through to tie the game up. And yes, that was completely mismanaged. Now, what I noticed on that play was Brady screaming at a receiver who I don't remember which one it was to get set, and then the clock ran past 0. So, is what it is. Blame Brady, blame fucking Cole Beasley, Scotty Miller, or Kyle Rudolph, because I saw the guy was white, so it was one of them. But whoever you want to blame. But for the Buccaneers to even be in, to even be in this game, number 1, okay, with the slew of injuries, for them to be in this game and give Aaron Rodgers
and
the
they
Packers,
lost their left tackle too.
correct. Offensive line decimated. No wide receivers. Leonard Fournette, 12 carries for 35 yards. Wasn't all that effective. He was more effective in the passing game, 5 receptions for 35 yards. They were
But he had to keep their defense honest.
Correct.
And he was running very hard.
I mean,
Let me tell you something. I think the game ball needs to go to their defense.
Yes.
Their defense was outstanding yesterday.
I will say this. A lot of people got down about this game. A lot of people,
That game could have been a blowout early. They were up by 14, and then they were driving for another touchdown to go up 21.
correct.
And all of a sudden they get picked in the end zone.
Okay.
Rodgers got picked.
So their defense is, like I said last week on the show, their defense is the best part of this football team, hands down. Now, Evans comes back off suspension. Godwin is healthy. Julio Jones is healthy. They can get some help back on the offensive line. Leonard Fournette can run the ball better. I still have complete faith in this team to win the NFC, because if the Packers are one of the best teams in the NFC, like everyone says, if this team was even had half of what they were missing, they would have won, no questions asked to me. I'm not upset with that game. I think this.
If they had Mike Evans, they would have won.
If they had Mike Evans, they would have won this.
Period.
So
It
I'm
would have
not
been
upset with this game. I'll say this much. Brady has looked extremely frustrated up until this point. Busted up a bunch of fucking iPads.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I think I truly think that this is it for him. I don't think he's gonna want any part of beyond this year. I think this will be it. He doesn't need this garbage that's going on. And I
Third
could see
game of
him.
the year. Why are we talking about him retiring?
Agree.
I am
There's
going
no
to put this
reason
out
this should
there.
be even talked
I'm going to
about
tell you
right
right now, even if they
Pish
if
posh.
they don't win a Super Bowl this year, I got a feeling he's done with this.
Well,
He doesn't need the aggravation that he's getting.
I'm not going to go there right now. I'll say this much. We've seen Brady when shit like this happens. We've seen it.
It motivates him.
He loses the close game, especially to Aaron Rodgers. The media, the battle of the GOATs. This is the turning point.
No, see,
that's what this is.
The
to me.
media is all blaming it on Giselle. Oh, Giselle's
Dude,
mad
I
at
don't
him.
talk about his fucking
No,
wife. Who
that's
cares about
every
his
time you
fucking wife?
open up a
It's
fucking
ugly. Who
app.
cares?
Every time you open Twitter or whatever, Giselle's mad at Tom
Whatever,
Brady.
dude.
Tom Brady is
Nobody
affecting
fucking
his
cares
playing
about
game.
that.
Like,
No, it
dude, get
doesn't
the
affect
fuck
Brady.
out of
Purists
here.
don't give a shit about him or his wife.
This is the thing. This will be the turning point. This will be the motivating factor.
Better turn a light on for him.
Now, this is when I bet you he was in the front office today, and there's going to be something that comes up with the Buccaneers this week. I don't know if it'll be.
You know what I want to hear? I want to hear they went into the front office and punched what's his name in his mouth.
Or Light, Jason Lick, or what's his
No, the guy who was coaching last year.
Bruce Arians?
Bruce, I want to hear him. I want to hear that Brady got pissed off and punched Bruce Arians in the mouth.
Well,
I'll have fucking more respect for him
Usually,
for putting that shit show together that they put together over there.
Usually,
Julio Jones, the ghost of Julio Jones.
this is the point in the year where Brady will
Well, we'll see.
prevail. And you heard it here first.
All right.
Hopefully, Odell Beckham will be in a Tampa jersey.
Anyway,
Anyways,
he won't be able to help him either. Go ahead.
Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers sneak one out. Aaron Rodgers.
They're going to Tampa, and they were unimpressive, to be honest.
They were
with
fucking
you.
unimpressive.
I'll tell you who was impressive, the running game. Their running game was did not miss a beat from where they were last year, and they went up against probably the best run defense in the NFL.
That was the worst take I have heard to date.
Why?
Aaron Jones, 12 rushes for 36 yards. A.J. Dillon, 12 rushes for 32 yards. They averaged 2.8 yards per carry.
That kept that defense honest, though. By them continuing to plug away, kept that defense honest. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been where they were at. Not only that, they got a fucking interception in the end zone when they were already up 14-0.
Listen.
What?
They completely shut the Packers down. Packers offense was completely ineffective.
I don't think they were. Their passing game wasn't effective. We've seen that.
Rodgers threw for 255 yards. Brady threw for more yards with
Okay.
even less.
Okay.
the Packers. If you're a Packers fan, the alert.
Packers won.
The alert should be going off.
The Packers won.
But I saw less. I saw less from the Packers than I did from the Buccaneers in the Packers game.
Well, of course you did.
The Packers won the game.
Of course you did.
I'm
sorry. How many yards did Leonard Fournette have on the ground again? What'd you say? 35 yards?
Mm-hmm.
That was the hardest 35 fucking yards you've seen. And them other guys from the Packers were running their ass off. They were getting fucking hammered on every play. That defense was outstanding yesterday.
Fantastic.
They were outstanding. I'll tell you what, both sides of the ball. Green Bay's defense played pretty damn good, too.
Yeah, but Green Bay's defense wasn't going up against anybody. You could fucking go out there and play defense on Scotty Miller.
Playing Scotty Miller would be like playing Bruce.
Exactly. That's what the fuck I'm saying.
Yep, you'd be the tire rolling down the fucking hill.
I guess.
Rolling right over the fucking top of you is what it would be doing.
Randall Cobb had one 40-yard pass. The ghost of Randall Cobb. Lazard, 4 receptions, 45 yards and a tud.
Hey, Randall Cobb was sharp yesterday. I was real impressed with Randall Cobb yesterday.
Yeah. Expect the Buccaneers to bounce back next week against Kansas City. I think that was an isolated occurrence.
See, they got a tough game next week.
In a game where we were all
tell you
right.
where they're at.
Where we were all right, the Atlanta Falcons trump the Seattle Seahawks 27-23.
Cordell
Patterson had himself a day. 17 rushes, 141 yards, and a touchdown, averaging 8 yards per carry.
How is it a wide receiver is the leading rusher of the week?
I mean,
that's amazing to me, especially at his age.
So effective.
He's not a young guy. What is he, 35? 34, 35
Cordell
years old?
Patterson, he's
been around for fucking 10,
for
12
a long
years,
time.
13 years. Guy's still amazing, dude.
Yeah. Ultimately, he was the X factor of this game. He was what won Atlanta this football game. Marcus Mariota, 20 attempts, 13 completions, 229 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and 3 sacks.
The ghost of Kyle Pitts finally came to life.
Kyle Pitts, 5 receptions, 87 yards. Drake London, 3 receptions, 54 yards, and a tud. They did just enough to win this game. Just enough. And I'll tell you what, we talked about this all offseason.
Are you tired, Bruce?
Yeah.
You got the big yawn going in there?
I didn't work out today.
What went through your mind when you saw that mouth open that wide?
Can I get my fist into there or no?
We talked about this all offseason. Atlanta's going to be that sneaky fucking team.
Yeah.
And they keep looking like it. They gave the Rams
Mariota keeps getting more confidence.
Yeah.
I like it right now.
I do too.
I got a feeling they can surprise a lot of teams.
I do too.
Because let me tell you something. If Jameis Winston keeps playing the way he's playing, I truly think Atlanta is not out of the realm that they can't win that division.
No.
Yeah, I know. I said it. Division. I know with Tampa. Go ahead.
Was that a joke?
No. Just saying if you guys are paying attention.
Anyways, on the other side of the ball, Gino Smith had himself a fucking game. 32 completions on 44 attempts, 325 yards, 2 tuds, an interception, a pick. My bad. Same thing. 2 sacks and a QBR of 99.
Well, here's the thing. He threw one in there, and Metcalf made a huge catch in that one because that ball actually was thrown into triple coverage, and he came down with it. So I wouldn't suggest he do that again.
I'll say this. I think Metcalf has been pretty uninspiring so far this year.
You know, everybody talked about him being the next Calvin Johnson. Not even fucking close.
Yeah, no.
Nowhere near what Calvin Johnson was.
He was targeted 12.
Maybe physically they're comparable.
Yeah.
But as far as speed and receiving ability, he's nowhere near Calvin Johnson.
Metcalf had 5 receptions. He was targeted 12 times, 64 yards and a tud. Tyler Lockett had the better day, 9 receptions on 11 targets for 76 yards.
You know, he went out hurt at one point in that game and came back in. He's the consummate pro.
Yeah, I know.
I think every team should have a guy like Tyler Lockett.
Not very sexy, but God, does he get the job done.
He gets the job done.
And Big Bill Dissly, 3 receptions, 3 targets, 1 touchdown, 34 yards.
Another good game out of him.
Another nice game out of Big Bill Dissly. As far as running the ball, Rashad Penny, 14 rushes, 66 yards, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. And then,
that's the league average.
Yeah.
That's a league average. He didn't do bad.
DJ Dallas, Kenneth Walker,
DJ Dallas had a nice game.
Travis Homer all got their carries. DJ Dallas, 3 receptions, 21 yards. Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. Seattle's uses
defense
5 running backs.
is a shell of themselves.
The defense is fucking awful.
I cannot believe the Legion of Boom is as fucking putrid as they are right now.
I mean,
them guys are rolling over to their grave and they're not even dead yet. Those guys are all Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor and the rest of these guys just want to throw up when they see what's happened with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, they looked. Their defense is fucking awful. And I mean, Gino Smith is giving you. Jesus God, Gino Smith is playing better than fucking Russell Wilson right now.
Yes, he is.
You know.
Do you think that's why they went ahead and let him go?
I mean,
maybe they, like you said, maybe the scumbag knows something that we all don't know. Maybe the scumbag's been poisoning him for the last 4 years.
Not really looking
and we
like
don't
a
know.
scumbag right now.
Maybe
Scumbag's not looking like a scumbag.
The scumbag will always be a scumbag.
Listen to me. I don't give a fuck if they put Tom Brady behind center. He'd still be a fucking scumbag.
They could have Pope Francis come play quarterback for that organization, and he'd still be a fucking scumbag. Anyways, what?
Nothing. Just listening.
Moving on to a game in the desert. The LA Rams go to Arizona to play the Cardinals.
Fucking Christ. You know, if there's one guy that doesn't have any fucking receivers to throw to other than Brady, it's fucking Kyler Murray.
The Cardinals ultimately lost this game. Rams put up 20. They put up 12. It was, I don't even know what to make of it. It was shockingly ugly for two teams that should be able to put up points and keep up with each other.
When offenses can't do anything, and let me tell you something, the Rams defense actually played pretty well, and they got to Murray and they made him uneasy. They were not allowing him to get outside the pocket and make throws down the field. They played the right game against him. And he doesn't really have much to work with. AJ Green went down with another knee injury. He's probably done at this point in his career. If he could come back from this, I'll be surprised. But Kyler Murray, I just, Pat Mahomes is cute. Kyler Murray's cuter than Pat Mahomes.
Wow.
He really is. He's just kind of all over the place. You know what he's like? He's like Bruce. He's like a virgin trying to get on his first woman, and he's kind of fucking all over the place and doesn't know what he's doing. And guess what? It's okay. But you got to use that energy the right way. He's not effective. He hasn't been effective.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I love James Conner. I think he's nice. That Eno Benjamin kid they need to give him more carries.
All right.
He's a really good football player.
I'm stopping you here. I'm fucking stopping
You're
you
just
here.
digging a fucking
The Cardinals running game is fucking
It's
awful.
not them guys. It's their offensive line.
Stop. At some point, you've got to blame a running back. You refuse to blame a running back.
I like
No, yeah, it's
Conner.
because he just calls everybody cute, and then nothing's on the running back.
James Conner is literally fucking awful. He's awful. He's averaging 30 yards a game as a starting running back.
I like James Conner.
Yes, but
it's
he's
not
fucking
him.
awful.
Their offensive line is putrid. The play
You want to talk about? Hold on.
What is Cliff Kingsbury going to be fucking held accountable?
Time out. You just talked about how nice Eno Benjamin looked yesterday. 5 rushes for 16 yards.
I like him. He runs
that's
hard.
nice.
I like him. He runs hard.
James
I like
Conner,
guys that run
13
hard.
for 39.
He can run hard all he wants,
I
but
like guys that
if
can
he's not
run hard.
effective, it doesn't fucking work, and he sucks.
It's awful.
Yeah?
They're fucking
You
awful.
should know.
Marquise Brown has kept them somewhat relevant in this game. 14 receptions and 17 targets for 140 yards. Greg fucking Dortch taking the world by storm again. 9 receptions, 10 targets, 80 yards. Ertz, decent game. 6 receptions, 45 yards.
He dropped a touchdown, too.
He did. I saw him drop the touchdown.
Yeah.
They cannot run the ball. They cannot run the ball.
It's the offensive line is not good, dude.
Oh, you keep
The offensive
saying
line
that,
is not
but
good.
God, when is it going to be? James Conner, even with a bad offensive line, should be able to do better than 3 yards per carry.
The league average is 4.7.
Correct. So
Correct.
The only one, there's nobody on their team that's even close.
Kyler Murray.
No, he didn't even get there. Eno Benjamin has 25 yards in 3 games.
Yeah. He runs hard.
He runs hard.
He runs hard. When I see him out there, he runs
straight
hard.
into a fucking
Yeah,
wall.
right into
Runs
the
hard.
fucking defensive front.
Runs hard.
Anyways,
Hey, it's not easy to run on that Rams defense either.
yes, but
Bobby
they haven't
Wagner's
done
a
it all
monster.
year.
Hello?
They have not done it yet this year.
Anyway, at what point
Next.
the Rams winning a shitty game? They didn't look that great either. What was Matt Stafford's numbers?
Hold on, here we go. The Rams, Matt Stafford, 18 completions on 25 attempts, which is pretty low for him. 249 yards, no tuds, no picks, 1 sack. Cam Akers, 12 rushes, 61 yards, averaged 5.1 per carry, and got a touchdown.
That was the best they've looked all year running the football.
Yes, absolutely it was. They are ranked 30th in rushing yards per game. So outside of that, Cooper Kupp ran the ball 1 time for 20 yards and a touchdown, and Darrell Henderson had 4 touches for 17 yards on the ground.
Coop's first rushing touchdown.
Cooper Kupp somehow didn't have a Cooper Kupp day yesterday.
Yeah.
He had 4 receptions for 44 yards, and obviously he only had the rushing touchdown. But Ben Skronik led the team
He
in
was getting
receiving.
ass hammered with targets, too. How many targets did
4
he
targets, 4 receptions, 66 yards, no tuds. Higbee, 4 receptions for 61 yards. And wow, Allen Robinson, great day. 2 receptions for 23 yards.
get? He's fucking putrid.
Absolutely fucking awful.
Golf clap for Allen Robinson.
All in all, I mean, this week 3, if I could take one thing from it, was just a week of shit shows. It was a fucking shit show. None of these football games that we have discussed to this point were played well.
No.
Pretty
They
much
were all,
either way.
They were all boring.
Pretty
They
much
were not-
either way.
They were not very good.
Fucking
One team
boring.
that played fantastic is the current AFC South leading Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars
Duval,
are starting to
baby.
look like they're for real.
Duval. Jaguars beat the Chargers in SoFi Stadium 38-10. And my God, if anybody saw that coming, you must have a crystal ball, because this
No.
I turned this game on, I saw it, and I was absolutely fucking blown away. Not necessarily, Justin Herbert was banged up, so I didn't expect the Chargers to have
Right.
a 35-point
I didn't
day.
even think it was going to play.
He threw a couple dimes, though.
But all we did last week was talk about how great the Chargers defense looking. My God.
Yeah.
They got
they,
torched.
they got their tanks
Playing
handed
like
to them
dogs.
yesterday.
Running the
Playing like
ball.
dog.
Their secondary got torched. James Robinson, 17 rushes for 100 yards and a touchdown. Travis Etienne, 13 for 45. Trevor Lawrence.
70 of that was on one play. I mean,
He had a 50-yard run.
or 50
James
of
Robinson.
it. Yeah, come on.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence with a 116 passer rating,
He was outstanding.
28
yesterday.
completions on 39 attempts, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, and did not make a mistake.
I'm a believer.
What can
I'm
you
becoming
say?
a believer in Trevor Lawrence. That's 2 games in a row. He's been outstanding.
You know, I don't know if I'm just that smart or just have a great judge of character, but there was one person who picked this team to win the AFC South this year.
Anyway,
Anyways,
we thought it would take him a little more time to gel than what it's been. Kudos to Peterson over there.
Doug Peterson.
He's got them.
Here we go,
He's got
baby.
these guys playing their asses
got him
off.
playing.
Wake
And,
up, Bruce.
I'm just so pissed. I'm pissed today. I don't know.
The ghost of Zay Jones.
Okay.
We'll discuss your irritations after this. But the ghost of Zay Jones, 10 receptions on 11 targets for 85 yards and a touchdown. The ghost of Zay Jones.
He was in Buffalo at one time.
Yeah, he was in Buffalo for a while. You know what's fucked up? I almost got desperate enough to trade for him in fantasy yesterday. And for some reason, I didn't.
He should have.
I should have. Christian Kirk, 6 receptions on 9 targets for 72 yards and a touchdown. And
Marvin Jones.
another ghost, the ghost of Marvin Jones, 4 receptions for 33 and a tud himself. Overall, there's not much you can say about the Jaguars. They went
18 looked good. He was elusive. He was balling out there, and
they went into LA and they handed
They beat a really
handed it
good
to
that
the
we
Chargers.
thought in that division was probably the most complete team in that division, and they handed it to them.
On the other side of the ball, we need to talk about Austin Eckler because this is red alert, level 10, code fucking red, full-on nuclear meltdown for this guy at this point. Austin Eckler's stat line yesterday was 4 rushes for 5 yards. He did okay receiving-wise. He had 8 receptions on 8 targets for 48
Well, that's
yards.
Eckler, though. When Eckler gets balled up in the run game, he usually has a big game receiving.
This is fucking awful. Coming from an Austin Eckler owner, this is fucking awful because you can't
We're not talking
sit him.
about fantasy. We're talking about
I'm aware
scores.
you can't sit him because if you sit him, he's going to go off for a 150-yard rushing day. But God almighty, this guy had so much promise coming into this year. He looked so good last year. And I don't want to blame the offensive line, but either their offensive line is fucking awful or he just doesn't really have the juice.
Well,
Their leading
they
rusher,
did lose their left tackle during that game.
their leading rusher was they only ran the ball 12 times all game.
Yeah.
Sonny Michel, 5 rushes for 22 yards. Sonny Michel got more touches than Austin Eckler. That is a fucking issue. Justin Herbert, not a very good day at all. 25 completions on 45 attempts. He's only 55%. He did have 297 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a sack. So yardage was there. Completion
He got
was
hit.
not.
He got hit early in that game by, I think it was Josh Allen hit him early in that game, and he got up and he winced and he was not himself.
He shouldn't have played yesterday.
No, he shouldn't have, because he was nothing but a liability to his team.
Go.
We're at an hour already.
I'm aware it is what it is. We'll be fine.
Okay.
Josh Palmer, 6 receptions on 9 targets for 99 yards. Other than that, Mike Williams didn't do shit, and Keenan Allen didn't play. So, the Chargers, did you lose any faith in the Chargers yesterday?
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think every team will go through this year.
Oh, they all seem to be
One
going
game
through
where
it
they
the
just
same
get
week.
their asses handed to them.
Yeah.
And they're not the only ones. You know,
They all seem to
they're
be
not
going
the only
through it.
ones that got their asses handed to them. Because I'll tell you what, Kansas City went into Indianapolis and got their asses handed to them.
Well, let's talk about that one real quick before we move on. The Chiefs did indeed go to Indianapolis and got, which
Shaboinked.
we don't see happen to them often. Mahomes, 20 completions on 35 yards, 20 completions on 35 attempts, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, a pick, and a sack. And they could not run the ball to save their lives yesterday. Nobody on the team could. Jerick McKinnon, 7 rushes, 20 yards. Isaac Pacheco, three rushes for 9 yards. It was awful. They could not run the ball. Juju Smith-Schuster finally had his coming out
His
party.
breakout game.
Yeah. 5 receptions, 89 yards. Kelsey, 4 receptions, 58 and a tud. It was just an off day for the Chiefs. That's really all there is to say about that.
Their defense couldn't stop the run.
No.
Their defense could not stop the run.
Jonathan Taylor, 21 rushes for 71 yards. Matt Ryan, 27 completions, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times.
Yeah.
And somehow they still gutted this game out. I will say this. I still don't think the Colts are that good. I still don't think the Colts are going to win that many games.
No, I
The
agree.
Chiefs came in. The Chiefs had a bad day. Matt Ryan got a little pissed off and finally had enough of getting fucking embarrassed. And they played for their lives. And at the end of the day,
This
is
was
one of
their
those
Super
flukes.
Bowl.
Yes, that was the Colts Super Bowl yesterday.
Yeah.
Not much else to say about that. In another game that looked like it was going to be a complete shit show and somehow had decent football, Jameis Winston. 25 completions, 41 attempts, 353 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, and a sack as the New Orleans Saints lose to the Carolina fucking Panthers.
Yes, sir.
22-14. No idea. No idea how this keeps happening.
I don't know what to say about him. He has regressed back to where he was in Tampa.
I mean,
Because he was making
61%.
the last 2 weeks he's made such bad decisions. I can't even express how disappointing it is for him.
Do you know what the problem is? Alvin Kamara only had 15 rushes in this game. They only ran the ball 22 times. When Jameis Winston is forced to throw
And
the
he
ball,
put it on the ground, too.
Yes, he did. He did have a fumble. But Kamara had 15 rushes for 61 yards. I'll tell you this much. When you're relying on Jameis Winston to throw the ball 40 fucking times, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Inevitably, it's all going to fall off. Chris Olave had a beautiful game. 9 receptions and 13 targets for 147 yards. Michael Thomas, 5 for 5 for 49. Traquan Smith, 4 receptions, 105 yards. Not a bad day receiving-wise, but it just kind of fell apart for them. They couldn't score points.
Right.
They couldn't score points. On the other side of the ball, Baker Mayfield.
At one point, they were getting shut out. And it was so bad, you were just hoping they could get a field goal. That's how bad that game was.
Yeah.
I just felt so bad. They were moving the ball up and down the field. They just couldn't get any points.
Couldn't get any points. I mean, Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, 13 completions on 25 attempts for 170 yards, and that was a very Baker Mayfield-like game.
Yep. That's him.
48% completion percentage, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 3 times. McCaffrey, 25 rushes for 108 yards. Nice little day. Laviska Shenault.
He had a great run.
2 receptions for 90 yards. 67-yard touchdown reception as well. And that, well, I mean, you have to figure Baker threw for 170 yards and 90 of them were to Laviska Shenault. So that tells you what the rest of the team did. God, it's like every team that was a shit show going into this week somehow scraped one out.
Yes.
And now you're sitting there questioning yourself, okay, are they really this bad? Or was it just like the football from hell week? I don't know, because Carolina is not a good football
That is
team.
why I still have hope for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina is not a
Only
good team.
because every team that was supposed to win lost yesterday.
Well, but Carolina is not a good team who lost to a not really that great team in
Right.
New Orleans. The Colts-Chiefs game, the Colts are a fucking awful team that somehow beat a fucking great team, and it's just a shit show. But in one definitive game that there's no questions about, the Washington Commanders and Carson Wentz finally
one of the
exposed
games-
themselves.
The Redskins
One of the games that was
got
actually
it handed
exciting.
to him.
They finally exposed themselves. Carson Wentz falling back into Carson Wentz form yesterday. 25 completions on 43 attempts, 211 yards, and did nothing. And the Eagle, that's pretty much every stat line that fucking matters from that game. Terry McLaurin had 100 yards receiving. Gibson and everybody else on the team didn't do shit. The Eagles had a very nice
I
day.
will say this. After the Eagles, even though the Lions played them this year, after they beat Minnesota, not this week. I know they won this week, but I'm buying into the Eagles, dude.
I mean,
I'm glad.
I wasn't.
I'm glad
I
to see
wasn't.
you're coming to surface on.
I
this.
wasn't at first, but I mean, damn, dude.
Listen.
Holy
Listen,
shit.
that game versus the Lions prepared the Eagles for all these last 2 games. I really believe that. They fought a hard-fought battle against a tough young team, and they dominated that Lions game. That game, they left so many points on the field that it should have been a blowout. But they're showing who they are.
They're balling, dude.
They're balling.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is playing very well. Very impressed with Jalen Hurts.
I mean, the writing's really on the wall here for the Eagles. They are 5th in the league in points scored. They are 1st in yards per game, 4th in passing yards, 7th in rushing. They are essentially top 10 in every offensive statistical category. And then when you move on to the defense, they are 1st in sacks and 6th in interceptions. They are playing out of their minds right now on both sides of the ball.
I mean, the usage of Dallas Goedert.
They're
exciting.
utilizing Goddard well. Miles Sanders is doing just enough to get it done.
Devonte Smith.
Even
My
though he had a
God.
bad day yesterday.
AJ
Devonte Smith
Brown
somehow
had a career game.
Career game. 8 receptions, 169 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders, slow day, but Hurts, 35 attempts, 22 completions, 340 yards, 3 tuds, 3 sacks. No picks, 124 quarterback rating.
They're
You
for real.
physically cannot ask for more out of a team than what the Eagles gave you yesterday.
And they go to 3-0.
3-0. Now, I was looking at their schedule, and I don't really know when they hit a speed bump. But I'll say this. They play Jacksonville this week.
That could be a major
And I
speed
think
bump.
that might be.
Well, we'll talk about that in the upcoming.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on Friday. But
yeah.
I said in last Friday's show, and this will lead us right into our next game, I said that the Miami-Buffalo game might be that trap game, speed bump in the road for Buffalo. And it inevitably
exactly
was.
what happened.
And I think you might see that with the Eagles and Jacksonville next week.
That was the game of Sunday football right there.
Yeah, and we thought this would be the game of the week. And it inevitably...
Well, your game was the Lions.
No, if you actually listened to the episode you edited, I said that they were both going to be the games of the week. And by God, was I pretty damn close because the Lions almost pulled off that win, and Buffalo only lost this game by 3. But Josh Allen did Josh Allen things yesterday, and they still lost. They still lost.
Here's the thing at the end there, Josh Allen had to throw a little pass to keep a drive going and on a 4th down, and he missed his guy.
He just missed it. Yeah.
He missed McKenzie out in the flat and threw it in the dirt.
When you hear these,
That is not Josh Allen. He threw it in the dirt.
when you hear this stat line for Josh Allen, you're going to be absolutely blown away. 42 completions on 63 attempts.
That's crazy.
400 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, but he was sacked 4 times. He had to throw the ball almost 65 times yesterday. He was also the team's leading rusher, 8 rushes for 47 yards, and fumbled it 3 times. Only lost 1, but put the ball on the ground 3 times. Zach Moss, 4 rushes for 46 yards. Singletary didn't have any answers yesterday, 9 rushes for 13. But in the receiving game,
He had a big game receiving.
Devin Singletary leads the team in receiving yards. 9 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Isaiah McKenzie, even though him and Allen didn't connect there at the end, 7 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 7 receptions, 74 yards, no touchdowns. But
Gabriel Davis.
Gabe Davis, 3 receptions, 37 yards, kind of quiet day coming off of injury. But the list of people who caught the ball for the Bills yesterday just keeps going. So Josh Allen is still very effective in spreading the ball around. Obviously, he had 400 yards passing, so everybody got a share of it because you didn't have anybody with 150 receiving yards.
Right.
So he spread the ball around great. Dawson Knox needs to wake the fuck up a little bit because he's part of their issue for not getting points in the red zone.
Correct.
I will say that. They don't have that bona
He's their
fide
big
red zone target.
Him and Gabriel Davis are the big targets in the end zone.
So when I
And-
said bench him, you gave me shit.
I did give you shit. I thought this game was going to be a 35-42 game.
Yeah.
And the defenses kind of beat each other up.
I think
But
everybody thought that.
Von Miller, no stat line. There's the difference in the game right there.
It didn't matter. Von Miller's presence is a stat line within itself.
Well, they lost, so it wasn't enough,
Yeah.
was it? Maybe if he had a couple of sacks,
And he put up
it would have went the other way.
0.5 for me.
Yeah, but
fantasy,
at one point, Miami, they're doing this at home. I want to see them go on the road and play a team on the road, and let's see what they're really made of.
I don't even think that matters. They
It does
played
matter.
the Bills.
It does matter.
They beat the Bills.
Yeah,
It does
and
matter.
I don't think it matters if it was a home or
It does matter. Because when they go up to Buffalo, and they go into Buffalo, they're going to see a
Well,
way
they're
different
at
environment.
Cincinnati on Thursday night.
That, and it was hot as shit there.
They're
These
at-
assholes were getting intravenous fucking shit plugged into them, and at the quarters, they were all cramping up.
They are at Cincinnati this week.
Yeah.
So there you go. If they're going to be tested, at Cincinnati, at New York Jets, the next 2 games. So
They'll get tested.
before we talk about this, so you heard Josh Allen's stat line, 63 passes,
Right.
400 yards, loses the game. On the other side of the ball, Tua Tagovailoa threw the ball 18 times, completed 13 of them. 13 completions, 186 yards, a touchdown, no picks, and a sack. QBR of 123.8. He did go down with a somewhat controversial, at this point, concussion and left the game to allow Teddy Bridgewater some time He didn't complete a pass. And got sacked. So Teddy Bridgewater ineffective. But they're now saying that the Dolphins medical staff may have mishandled Tagovailoa's injury, where they said that it was a back spasm that caused him to collapse, and it had nothing to do with any sort of head injury. So we will monitor that because God knows what could come of that.
That looked like a head injury to me.
But Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert didn't do anything. They combined for 32 yards. Edmonds had 2 touchdowns on 6 rushes, though. So obviously, there's his utilization. It is going to be at the goal line. On the other side of the ball, Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 102 yards. Tyreek Hill, quiet day, 2 receptions for 33. And he called out Eli Apple in this week's game against the Bengals. So I think you'll see a Tyreek Hill bounce back this week. But the passing touchdown for the Dolphins came from none other than wide receiver River Crocraft, who had 1 reception for 11 yards and the touchdown. So big day for him. What did you think about Miami's defense in this game, holding the Bills team to 19 points?
I thought they played their ass off. They played their ass off. They were flying around the field. They were making plays to keep Buffalo honest. And I thought they played well. And you got to understand something. They were missing Ed Oliver and that giant kid Jordan in the middle there.
Yeah.
They had 2 backup defensive tackles in that game.
And I'm pretty sure Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde both didn't play.
Yeah.
Well, who just went on IR? Micah Hyde?
Micah Hyde went on IR.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Poyer was out yesterday, too.
I gotta
But yeah, so the Bills'
And
defense was a little banged
Tre'Davious
up.
White is still not playing.
Right.
And they're still playing at a high level
Yeah.
with all these backups. So you got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah. I agree. The Bengals finally get the monkey off their back and pick up a win in New York against the Jets. Bengals trump them 27-12 in a game that Joe Burrow finally looked like an NFL quarterback who wasn't running for his life on every play. He was only sacked twice, which is good. Joe Mixon, on the other hand, very ineffective, 12 rushes for 24 yards. And T. Higgins got banged up early in this game, but still managed to haul in 5 receptions for 93 yards. Tyler Boyd, 4 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. He led the team. Jamar Chase only with 6 receptions on 29 yards, but got a touchdown. Now, is this the real Bengals team finally?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because they protected him. I mean, they only let up 2 sacks.
But
I mean,
this made me think.
here's the thing: are they where they should be? No,
No.
they're not.
They're not.
They're still not able to run the football. Last year they were able to run the football at will. Now that offensive line last year, as shitty as they were, was actually playing better than this offensive line is this year.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. The Jets are starting to smell like a little shit show's going on.
No, you know what? They had a few bad calls in that game that extended that game to where it was. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I saw it. They called a roughing the passer on a guy who pushed Joe Burrow down, and it was an absolute fucking joke that kept the drive, and they scored 2 plays later.
Listen.
And you know what? It is what it is, dude. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I'm telling you the truth. I seen it. It's bullshit that these referees.
So then why are you sitting here saying that the Bengals for real if the referees are the reason why the Jets can't do anything?
All I'm saying is this. When you make calls like that, you cost teams momentum. When you cost them momentum, it costs them games.
Listen.
And it's bullshit.
The Jets can't score points. That's their fucking kryptonite.
No, they were getting
Joe
they were
Flacco
getting
goes
the
off
Flacco
every
yesterday.
week. Joe Flacco goes off every week and throws for fucking 300 or 400 yards, and they can't score any points. Mostly because they can't run the ball, and mostly because, especially in the red zone, their offensive line has no fucking answers. And their defense, that was so wildly touted in the offseason with all these young guns, can't fucking keep a team from scoring less than 25 points a week.
Yeah. Well,
And Quinnen Williams almost fucking ripped the face off of his defensive line coach yesterday. Did you see that?
no.
Well, here, I'm going to show you real quick. You can watch and discuss what you're seeing in the meantime.
That's a big boy. I wasn't going to get him mad at me.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of shit showery going on there.
Well, it's frustration. It's frustration is what it is. It's frustrating to think that you're sitting there and you're trying to put something together and have it taken away by referees that make bad fucking calls. And we've seen a ton of them within the past few years. That shit needs to stop. They need to quit fucking patty caking this league, because that's exactly what's going on, and it's bad for the game. You're purist. You got guys that have played this game that agree with everything I'm fucking saying right now. The way that these guys prepare themselves is not good. That's why you see the rash of injuries. This is why you see the shit game that we've been seeing. These guys are not ready to play physically or mentally into these games like they used to be. It's a fucking joke, man.
Okay,
it needs to stop.
Here's the thing.
It needs to fucking stop.
Number one, they don't go in at halftime and eat a bunch of Percocets and go out there and play anymore.
Well, whatever,
okay?
dude. I'm not even going to go there. That's bullshit. It is what it is. The game is not. These guys are not tough anymore. None of these guys are tough. None of them are. It's bullshit, dude. I'm telling you. They've made this game into a fucking just all it is a basketball game. It's a track meet. That's all it is. It's not about defense and toughness and everything that football is supposed to be. It's gone. It's gone. It's all about being cute, trendy, and all that bullshit that you guys do. It's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. And if you don't believe me, I was listening to John Jansen talk about on his show, his podcast, about how weak the players are today just because they're not being prepared the right way. And I agree with him. I totally agree with him. That it's absurd. And you see the rash of injuries because these guys are not fucking prepared for it. So when they get into game time, here you get into the game starts to flow. These guys take a shot, they're down, they're out. They take a shot, they're down, they're out. It never used to be that way. I remember guys being fucking carried off the fucking field and would come back out and play. You don't see it anymore. They put you in a little blue tent. Oh, you're done. You're done. Oh, you got your bell rung? You're done. You're done. That's the way it is now. That's what it is now.
They make too much money now.
No, because it's all about money.
Yeah.
Because the NFL doesn't want to get fucking sued.
Well, the players are behind it too.
That's why.
The players are behind it too.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Because these guys, a lot of their contracts are incentive-based contracts. A lot of them are. So if they need to reach your fucking numbers to make the maximum amount of money they can make, they don't make it if you got to fucking sit. It's real simple. It's all about money. It's about money, and that's what fucking ruins the game.
Well, if you want to talk about getting carried off the field and being tough,
we're going to talk about Mac Jones.
Your boy Mac Jones and your favorite Super Bowl contender, the New England Patriots.
Stop. I did not say they were.
Who you on this show said were better
You're
than the Dolphins and would compete for the division with the Bills. Well, Mac Jones carried off the field like a fucking Cabbage Patch doll, bawling his eyes out this weekend because he had an ankle sprain.
This is coming from the biggest bandwagon jumper there is.
No, you want to know why? Because if Brady would have sprained his fucking ankle, he wouldn't look like this being carried off.
That's exactly what he looked like. The only difference is Giselle would have had her head between his legs. That's the only difference.
Anyways, the New England Patriots get absolutely thumped by the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson had another beautiful day.
I don't think anybody was surprised about that.
It was a decent little game.
It was a very good competitive game.
Excuse me.
At the beginning.
You picked the Patriots to cover.
Anyway.
At plus 2.5.
It was a competitive game, and they played their asses off against a team that was a lot better than them.
Listen, you can talk about competitive game all you want. Mac Jones had a nice day throwing the ball to the other team. 22 completions on 32 attempts, 321 yards, no touchdowns, 3 picks, was sacked 3 times. Then he had a rushing touchdown and did the whitest gritty I have ever seen in my entire life. It was rather awful.
Why is it that when I drop Devontae Parker, he goes out?
Devontae Parker
does this.
fucking off. 5 receptions, 156 yards. Kendrick Bourne, 4 receptions on 58. Rodmore Stevenson, 12 rushes for 73 yards and a touchdown, had himself a decent little day. But Mac Jones is out, and now Bill Belichick's going to bring in, what's his, Billy Zips?
Billy Zapp?
Whatever.
Billy Zapp?
Yeah.
God bless Billy
Jimmy
Zapp.
2 times. I don't even
Jimmy
know.
2 times? Hey,
Yeah.
guess what?
Get the papers.
Billy Zapp might be the spark they need.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Next Jimmy Garoppolo, eh? Yeah, so you can, if you're a New England Patriots fan now,
If you're a bandwagon New England Patriots fan, you don't care.
if you had any hope in winning 7 games this year, you can completely forget about that one now.
I'm not a bandwagoner. I was never a Patriots fan. I was a Tom Brady fan.
Amen.
Yay.
The Baltimore Ravens had themselves a nice little day. Lamar Jackson threw the ball 29 times, completed
MVP.
18,
MVP.
218 yards, 4 touchdowns, interception, but he was sacked 4 times.
MVP.
He also had 107 yards and a rushing touchdown on
MVP.
the ground. Mark Andrews, 8 receptions for 89 yards and 2 tuds. Rashad Bateman, 2 receptions for 59. And Duvernay, continuing his touchdown streak, 2 receptions for 25 yards and a tud. Outside of that, J.K. Dobbins looking a little rusty, 7 rushes for 23 yards. Justice Hill, 6 rushes for 60. Broke 1 for 34. Not a bad day for Baltimore. If anything, I was surprised their defense allowed the Patriots to score 26 points.
Well, you know what? For them to go out on the road and go into a hostile place.
Yes,
like
I
New
will
England
say
like
that. Going to Gillette.
That was
win
actually
tough.
pretty impressive because that's not an easy place to play in.
No, it's not. But overall, I think as it stands right now, I mean, not only that division, but it's kind of like the AFC is kind of Baltimore's to lose at this point, maybe.
I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, they looked better this weekend than the Chiefs, than the Bills. I mean, who knows? It could be a Miami-Baltimore competing for this division now, especially because the West is all fucking imploding each other.
Yes.
You know, the Chargers did not look good yesterday. The Raiders have not looked good yet. The Broncos have not looked good yet. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, the Raiders got their butts handed to them. Tennessee finally woke up.
Yeah, the Titans somehow squeak out a win against the Raiders, 24-22, and
they were down big. The Raiders were down big in that game. They came back.
Mac Hollins, baby. Mac fucking Hollins somehow goes out and outshadows Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, and I don't even know what to make of this. Derek Carr, 26 on 44 for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick and a sack. Josh Jacobs, 13 rushes, 66 yards, and a fumble. I mean, their offense just isn't really getting it together yet.
They haven't clicked yet.
No, especially when Mac Hollins is leading the team with 8 receptions and 158 yards.
Well, he was wide open.
Yeah.
He was wide open. The plays I seen, he was wide open.
Who is Mac Hollins?
No, I don't know.
Who the fuck is Mac Hollins?
I don't know who he is.
I don't know where he is, who he came from.
I don't know where he came from, but
Was he doing cards in a casino before this
who
week?
knows?
I don't fucking know. But Devontae Adams, 5 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Darren Waller, 3 for 22. That is not going to get the job done.
no.
But
And
on the
that's
other
why they
side of the
lost.
ball,
Oh, he's on Philly.
Derrick Henry, 20 rushes, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Ryan Tannehill actually performed somewhat quarterbackly yesterday. 27 attempts, 19 completions, 264 yards, a tud, a pick, and a sack. I don't know what to make of this because I still don't think Tennessee's that good.
They were at home.
They were at home.
They were at home playing behind a very inspiring crowd, and they got up big early on a team that's better than them, and they gutted one out.
Robert Woods, 4 receptions for 85 yards. Finally, putting up some decent numbers for him. Henry had 5 receptions for 58 yards catching the ball as well. So Derrick Henry had his first big game of the year.
That Hilliard kid that plays behind him had another big catch.
He did.
In drives. This guy, all he does is have big catches.
Yeah, 1 for 30 yesterday. He also had 2 rushes for 14 yards. Treylon Burks, uninspiring, 1 reception for 13. I don't know what to feel.
He
dropped
a touchdown too.
He did. I did see him do that. Tennessee is still not that good, but I don't think Vegas is as fucking bad as they're playing. I don't.
They're
know
not. I don't understand what's going on with them offensively. They should be a lot better than what they are.
And their defense isn't stopping people either, though. That's the thing.
But they've been pretty stout. I mean, it kept them in that game. They were getting blown out early.
Yeah, I mean.
And it was because the offense was turning the ball over. It wasn't all together on that.
There's a lot of question marks there still.
Yeah.
For both of those teams, both Tennessee and Vegas. You don't really know what to make of either of them yet.
The first team that puts it together will start to get hot. And that's when they'll show you who's the better
because
teams.
We don't know who in the AFC West. I mean, obviously the Chiefs are, I would say, firmly in command of that division at the moment. Even after that horrific loss this week, they're still the team to beat.
Well, they got to go on the road this week and play another tough game, and they could be in trouble if they drop that.
The Tampa we'll see if Tampa can put up enough points to compete, but that Tampa defense.
Well, if you thought the Colts defense was good, wait till they go into Tampa.
Oh yeah, they're gonna. That defense is gonna give them everything.
That defense will be ready for cuteness.
In a game I don't even want to talk about, but we don't have a choice.
The battle of the shit show.
Somehow,
the Chicago Bears are 2-1.
What kind of fucking world do we live in where Justin Fields, who is, we could take this Russell Wilson action figure and put him on the field, and he could perform at a higher level than Justin fucking Fields, and he is the quarterback of a 2-1 football team. How a
guy who hasn't thrown for 200 yards on the year.
I mean,
it's fucking 2-1.
Realistically, I have to go look at this stat line because
how many yards has he thrown to on the year?
On the year,
it's maybe
297 yards.
All right,
so he's averaging 99 yards per game.
Per game. And how many touchdowns?
2.
He has 2 touchdowns all year.
With a QBR of 50.
Okay.
50.
And they're 2-1.
And they're 2-1.
Yeah.
How? What is going on?
They're a full game ahead of the Detroit Lions.
How the fuck? How are they? I mean, it's fucking awful.
It's the defense.
But
their defense is good.
Oh, but
their defense is good. It's
not good. It's not.
Their defense played their ass off against the 49ers.
They got lucky. They got fucking lucky.
That's what happens when
Roquan fucking Smith. They got lucky, and they want to get rid of him. The only guy who can
he doesn't even want to be there.
The guy who doesn't even want to be there wins the fucking ball game for him.
The Chicago Bears are 2-1, tied for first place in this division. They are 31st in yards per game. They are 32nd in passing yards per game. They are 27th in time of possession. They are 25th in third down efficiency. They are fucking awful. They are awful.
Okay, but they did play
the only thing
they're tied for first place.
Yeah, they played the Texans.
The only thing this team can do is run the football. That's it.
And now Montgomery is down.
And yes, half of that running tandem is down, but it doesn't really fucking matter. Khalil Herbert, 20 rushes for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns yesterday. But Justin Fields' stat line is actually
atrocious.
Fucking nauseating. 8 completions. This is an NFL starting quarterback. 8 completions, 17 attempts, 106 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 5 sacks.
Trent Dilfer's rolling over in his grave, and he's not even fucking dead yet.
Dan Campbell's live at the podium.
Trent Dilfer looks like Joe literal fucking Montana compared to Justin Fields right now. It's fucking awful.
I can't. It's amazing to me.
And guess what? We have signs that Darnell Mooney is alive. He had his biggest game of the year, 2 receptions for 23 yards. Same thing with Cole Kmet, who we thought was dead, 2 receptions for 40 yards. And that's Those two made up for half of the completions. There's only 8 fucking completions. So there you go. It's I don't understand how any competent front office management could look at this football team, even though they're 2-1, and look at it and be like, "Oh, well, we're 2-1."
I would be embarrassed.
I would be genuinely
You know
embarrassed.
what? Fuck that. No, I'm fucking mad, dude. I'm fucking mad. A shitty team like that is a fucking full game ahead of your Detroit Lions.
Listen to me. That old bitch Virginia McCaskey needs to come down and fire somebody herself because that's fucking awful.
Doesn't matter. They're still 2-1, tied for first place.
Yes, but god damn it.
It's them.
You know
it's
what?
them. It's them and the fucking
Vikings.
and the Vikings
And the Packers. All 3 of them are 2-1.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
all 3 of those
I'm gonna
teams are
say this.
2-1, except for Detroit
Hold on.
in division.
I'm
They lost
ready.
the division game.
I am ready to make my first guarantee of the year.
Okay.
Okay, and you're gonna need to take note of this. The Chicago Bears will not win more than 2 more games for the rest of the season.
Okay.
They just won't.
Yeah, I don't agree with that
You don't.
I'm going to go ahead and take a
because
look.
I know they're going to beat
At
Detroit
the Giants,
and Chicago.
at Minnesota, at home against Washington, at New England, at Dallas, against Miami, against Detroit, at Atlanta, at the Jets, against Green Bay, against Philly, against Buffalo.
Yep.
They
nope,
ain't winning more
nope.
than 2 games than
Nope.
that. So God fucking bless
Nope.
them. Justin Fields will be out of a job when they play the Lions on November 13th.
Really?
Yes.
And who do you think they're going to have playing?
Trent
Andy
Dilfer.
Dalton?
Trent Dilfer. Or Andy Dalton. Whoever the fuck
Trent
they can
Dilfer's
find.
too good to make their team.
I mean, they could maybe they'll call fucking
Dan Orlovsky.
Dante Culpepper or take Dan Orlovsky.
Dan
off fucking
Orlovsky.
TV.
Colin
You know what?
Kaepernick.
Tim Boyle.
Tim
Tim
Boyle.
Boyle would be performing at a
Tim
higher
Boyle?
level than Justin fucking Fields.
He
David Blow.
actually would.
David Blow.
David Blow. Bring him in to blow the fucking sails.
He's on the Vikings. So.
Anyways, I hate the Chicago Bears more than any other team in the league right now. Davis Mills for the Texans. 32 attempts, 20 completions, 245 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, and a sack. Damian
That
Pierce.
pick was huge at the end. It cost them the game.
Cost them the game. He cost them the game. And there's the Davis Mills advantage. He's still better than Justin Fields, by God.
Thank
you. Damian Pierce, 20 rushes, 80 yards, and a tud. Nice little day for him. 4
Nice
yards
day
a carry.
against a good defense.
Yeah. Whoever the fuck Chris Moore is for the Houston Texans.
I don't know.
3 receptions, 63 yards. And I mean, Nico Collins, 2 receptions, 41 yards. You know what's fucked up? You don't even know who's playing for the Texans. You don't
No.
even know who these people are.
You don't recognize the names.
No. Brendan Cooks, 2 receptions, 22 yards. OJ Howard, nothing. I mean, they're just, that team is like bandaged together. It's like a bunch of newspaper articles just taped
Oh, wow.
together. It's like a ransom note. Fucking awful. But before we end today's show, we need to talk about tonight's game. It is the Cowboys against the Giants. The Giants are 2-0.
Giants are about to be 3-0.
Giants are about to be 3-0.
I like the Giants tonight. How many points they giving up?
The Giants are -1, over under of 39.
I will take the Giants given the point.
I think Saquon Barkley has a big night against the Cowboys defense. I don't think the Giants are going to throw the ball all that well. There was talks of possibly them working out a trade to get Kenny Golladay off this team today. I don't know who the fuck in this league would actually trade for him. I mean, I would give up this empty can for Kenny Golladay if I was any other team in the NFL. But I see Saquon Barkley having a really big game. I don't see the Cowboys doing much offensively.
Well, tonight might be the debut of the Giants' #1 overall pick this year, and that is Kayvon Thibodeau. He will make his debut today, and we'll see what that's going to be like.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to make another bold prediction before we end the show. The Cowboys will lose tonight.
Okay.
They will not look good.
Okay.
Ezekiel Elliott will not run for more than 50 yards. Cooper Rush is going to throw 3 picks.
Really?
And I think that the Cowboys lose by at least 2 touchdowns, and Mike McCarthy's out of a job Tuesday afternoon.
Well, I think everybody in Dallas would love to hear that.
I really think that's what's going to happen.
I think everybody in Dallas.
Jerry Jones is not.
I want to see Jerry Jones come down out of his box and
drag him
and punch Mike
out.
McCarthy in the mouth.
Just absolutely drag him
But
out.
he ain't got the stones. He's like Bruce.
And the New York Giants, some fucking how, the New York Giants will be 3-0.
What I want to see is Jerry Jones on his little Motorola flip phone calling up our friend and mentor Jimmy Johnson and apologizing to him for being such an asshole all those years ago.
No,
his
extends. I think this will be. I think
with his
What?
huge.
Hey, if you want that, that's up to you, bud.
No, you've said
his huge cack.
You've said huge cack.
I don't know what you're talking
14 times.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
We've gotten a lot of good feedback on you talking about.
I have
huge
no
cack
idea.
on this show. I
I don't know what Jimmy's packing, but obviously he's packing something scary.
You made it seem like you.
I don't know if it's a wedge or an iron.
But yeah,
That's a
I
driver.
think we're gonna see close to total domination tonight from.
I'm hoping we do.
I am.
I
too.
would love to see Kayvon Thibodeau come in and sack Cooper Rush at least 3 times tonight.
Oh yeah. So I just want to see.
I
want
love
to see the
that.
Dallas Cowboys' entire organization fall into the fucking depths of hell. I want it
because
to end.
if there's 2 teams I want to see drowned right now, one is the Dallas Cowboys,
Who's the second one?
the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, there.
I
They can't
listen.
be
Nothing
America's team
against
anymore.
the city of Seattle, or anything. I just hate Pete Carroll, and I want to see Pete Carroll lose his job
Well, I think
because I don't think
unfortunately,
Pete Carroll should have the job he has right now.
we're going to see Mike McCarthy lose his job before Pete Carroll. But
I think him, Matt Rule, and the rest of them guys need to lose their jobs because of what they are.
our bold prediction for tonight, I would take the Giants and the under.
I'm taking the Giants, the under, and the point. Given the point.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say anything because every time I open my fucking mouth, I'm wrong. So if I choose
That's true.
if I choose the Giants, they'll fucking lose somehow, some way, shape, or form.
Nobody was right this weekend.
Nobody was right
Nobody
this
was
week,
right
dude.
this weekend.
Even the experts weren't
But
right this
you
weekend.
have
And
to
I know
take the
we
Giants. You have to.
But
So.
we go to Bruce for his fun fact of the day.
All right. In the early 1900s, marathon and other distance runners were given champagne, brandy, and rat poison as a form of energy drink during a long races.
Well, fucking hey, why don't we pour some up?
When was this?
In the early 1900s.
1900s.
So they were given champagne. What else?
Brandy, and
Brandy.
rat poison.
And I don't know how you pronounce this. Steichen? I don't know.
Steichonine.
Which is known as rat poison.
Rat poison. So speed.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
Yeah,
speed.
it was the medieval speed.
I used to make that in my bathtub when I was a teenager.
Did you?
Yes. Except we didn't use champagne.
Would you use piss, brandy, and
And
fucking rat
you weren't
poison?
giving it to long distance runners, were you?
No, it was called mescaline, and we used to take that and have a good time.
Oh wow. Well, enjoy.
That was back in the late 70s, early 80s, by the way.
So the statute of limitations. Is
Early
already
80s.
passed. Statute of limitations is passed.
It's passed. Yeah, I don't think my dad would be upset. R.I.P. Sal.
Well, I wasn't talking about your dad. I was talking about the production and sale of narcotics.
Well, you know, it just doesn't work. In today's game, it doesn't work.
No way.
No.
Well, we would like to thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls podcast. Make sure to tune into tonight's Monday night game where Dallas will probably end up winning and we'll be fucking wrong for the 9th time this week. Go ahead.
Am I perfect?
Make sure if you're not, follow us on our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure to subscribe and watch us on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back with week 4 of Fantasy Frenzy on Thursday.
I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Get your